You are listening to Unstoppable Actors, the essential podcast for ambitious, unknown actors with me, Louise, the artistic director of Standby Method Acting Studio. And for the last 13 years, I've been taking unknown actors with blank CVs all the way to Netflix dramas, Amazon Prime films, TV soaps and stage plays around the world. And every week I'll be talking with you and sharing how you can become a paid working unstoppable actor, because you 1000% can. An acting career is doable. Are you ready to dive into the episode? Welcome to another juicy episode where we are going to be diving into characters that you simply cannot connect to. Because let's face it, you're not going to pick up every script that you get and be able to connect to every single character. There is going to be some characters where you pick up the script, you read it and you just go, oh my God, we are so different. How am I ever going to play this person? We've got nothing in common. Well, that's what we're going to be diving into today. That's what we're going to be exploring. And I've got 3 very potent method acting exercises for you to use, which will absolutely transform this. They will get you out of your stuckness with the character. But before I go into them, what do you think to the new intro? So if you've been a listener, a follower of the Unstoppable Actors podcast for a while, you will have heard a brand new introduction. And if you are new to Unstoppable Actors, welcome. This is a new introduction. What do you think of it? So the reason behind it is, well, I was feeling for a long time that the podcast needed some new energy, like a fresh vibe, and I'd been sitting on it for a while thinking, what would I do? What like music would I introduce into the podcast? And anyway, what happened is on Friday of last week, I had my 3-year-old nephew and I was babysitting for him, and by accident he kicked my hard drive, which has everything on it, and it broke. I mean, it was on its way out anyway, so he didn't break it per se, but I think that just toppled it over the edge. So that meant everything was wiped, absolutely everything, including the podcast and the podcast intro and outro. And I was like, oh my good Lord, what am I going to do? And then I was like, well, I've been thinking for a long time that I wanted to give the podcast some freshness, a bit of an update, a bit of a makeover. So there's no time like the present. Now, I know this has nothing to do with characters, but what I wanted to share with you is that as an actor, both from the business side and the craft side, you are going to be presented with lots of problems throughout your acting career, and you are going to have to adopt the mindset of a problem solver. I thought this was a really good introduction into these sorts of characters that you are struggling to connect with, because we're all going to be presented with characters that we can't connect to or that we find harder. So we have to problem solve. And this is where you need a craft and a technique behind you. I know there's a theory out there in the industry, not from all actors, but from some that, you don't need training. You can just go out and learn on the set. We can't. I know you guys listening to this don't think in that way, because you wouldn't be listening to the podcast if you thought in that way. But here's why that's a flawed theory. You can't go onto a set or into a stage production, and expect to learn about how to connect to characters, because directors are not there to be acting coaches. They're there to oversee the vision that they've got for this production. Yes, they'll give you direction, and they might say things like, oh, can you try this? Can you try that? But they're not going to coach you with the part. It's your job to have the craft behind you and a technique and a toolkit behind you so that you can problem solve yourself. And that's the whole point of the method. How do I create truth when everything around me is fake? There's nothing more obvious than a fake situation, than a character you've got that you just simply feel like you can't connect to. So the method was developed by Lee Strasberg, following on from Stanislavski's work, and Dennis, how do I say his name? Diderot? Yeah, I think that's how you say it. I've probably said that wrong. But anyway, following on from his work as well. So the method was built to help you overcome the common acting problems and the common acting struggles. Here's my take on this. When you've got a character that you can't connect to, the first thing I would like you to consider and to dive into and explore is, why are you actually struggling with connecting to this character? What is it about the character that's creating a story in your head where you're saying, actually, I can't connect to this person, or this person is very different from me, or so far removed from me, I'll never be able to connect. And they're like, what is it? What exactly is it in the character that you are struggling with? Is it their lifestyle? Is it their accent? Is it the circumstances in which they find themselves? Is it the way they behave? What is it? Get really, really specific and pinpoint what it is, because then that makes it a little bit easier. It takes some of the pressure off you, because if you just go into a character going, oh my God, I can't connect to this character at all, there are going to be some things that you actually can connect to. But when you're saying you can't, you're making the problem really, really, really big. And then what happens, and I know this from experience because I've approached characters like this in the past, but the problem seems to get bigger. And the bigger it gets, the less you seem to like the character, the less enthusiastic you feel about playing it, the less excited you feel about the project. And then that changes your entire energy as an actor. And that's the energy that you bring to set or to the production. And that's not a great energy for other people to be working with, or for yourself to be working with either. So if you can pinpoint specifically what it is about the character that you're struggling to connect to, you've actually made the problem much smaller. And when it's smaller, it's more manageable, it's easier to overcome. So get super clear on what it is that you're really struggling with. And then out of that, start to find the ways where actually you do connect to the character and you go, oh yeah, actually I do connect to this thing here, and I'd not seen it because I'd been making the problem of not connecting to the character so big. Then the second thing you're going to have to do throughout your career is continue to develop your empathy skills. It's really important that you do this because empathy is a muscle. It needs working. Just like any muscle that you would take to the gym and train, you need to train the empathy muscle. Empathy is all about knowing what it's like to be in the shoes of someone else. The best place that I did this wasn't even anything to do with acting. So a good number of years ago, I think it was back in 2009, I used to work in a school that was specifically for children, or teenagers, with autism and Asperger's, so people on the ASD spectrum. This is a job that I did between acting jobs. It really helped me develop my empathy skills, because when working with these children with Asperger's and autism, I had to really learn what it was like to be in their world to help make their world easier. Because of course, if you know anything about autism, people with autism, well, they can be on different levels on the spectrum, but there's certain things that they get triggered by. So they might be very sensory. So things that I would take for granted, like touching, I don't know, a towel, might overstimulate someone with autism who's, very overstimulated by touch or sound, for example. And this was a brand new world that I'd come across. I'd never really understood autism before, and I was so grateful for this job at this school, because as I said, it allowed me to develop my empathy skills for the first time ever. I was like, oh wow, I have to get into this person's world and really, really immerse in it to get what their world is like so I can help them. So to develop your empathy skills, it's not just a matter of learning how to do this in acting training and in classes. You've actually got to start to do this in day-to-day life as well. And you could start to do it with maybe family members or friends or the person that you see on the street. Start to ask yourself, what is it actually like to be in their world? What experience is this person having right now? That's the start of developing your empathy skills. I have to say, working in that school, I believe, even though it was nothing to do with acting, it made me a better actor, because now I take that same approach with all of my characters. The first thing I want to know is, what is it like to be in their world? What is it like to be in their shoes? What are they experiencing? And then when I can understand it on a logical level, I can understand it on a heart level as well, and I can empathise. So you really do need to find ways of developing your empathy skills. Very, very, very important. Now, if the first 2 points that I've given you are going over your head or you're struggling with them, there is a third way we can unlock our connection to the character. And I love this way of working, because a lot of us as actors are very sensitive. We are very emotional. You have got two types of actors. You've got the type of actors who love the physical work, who would prefer the animal exercise and doing that sort of work to explore the character and develop it. And then you've got the other type of actor who is what I would call a heart actor, who goes in with the emotional work, is very, very strong at that. Neither actor is right nor wrong, but if you are struggling with the character and even trying the physicality is not helping you get into them, go in with the emotions. All humans have experienced the 6 basic emotions, which are sadness, joy, fear, anger, excitement, and surprise. So every single human has experienced one of those 6 emotions. So what I would encourage you to do is to connect to the character and bridge the gap between you and them by exploring their emotional world. Now, I have mentioned physicality, so if you find physicality one of those ways that helps you get into the character, that is another area of character that you can explore. So you can explore, like, what is their posture, what is their rhythm when they walk, what's their gait, and you can play around with this. So for some actors, finding the walk of the character is the way in. So it doesn't always have to be, making a connection to their circumstances. We can find other ways into the character. So I hope these method acting exercises and these points that I've raised have helped you. Now, for some of you are going to need more than this. Some of you can hear what I'm saying on the podcast and go, yeah, it makes sense, but actually I need help with this. I need some guidance. If you're one of those people, I would highly encourage you to come and register for a class. Well, it's a workshop, actually, a 2-hour workshop that I'm holding on Sunday the 25th of June. The workshop is called Complete Character Transformation. This is a very practical class. You get a script. As soon as you register for the class, you get a script. I only need you to read it a couple of times before the class. I don't want you to do any other prep. And then what will happen is you're going to come into the class. I'm going to give you some time to rehearse it, and then I'm going to watch the scenes, and then I'm going to give you feedback, and then I'm going to offer you 4 practical method acting exercises which you will test out in the workshop. Now, it's online, so you can be from anywhere in the world to come and join. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be very insightful, very inspiring. Now, because it is live, there's absolutely no replay, because we all know with replays, the chances of actually watching them are very, very slim. Not that many people do. So I like to do hands-on practical classes. So because they're all limited places, you do need to make sure you show up live. So it's Sunday the 25th of June, 6 p.m. till 8 p.m. UK time, which I think that turns out to be 10 a.m. LA time, 1 p.m. New York time. I think that's what it works out to be. The link is underneath this podcast episode. All you need to do is just click that, register for it. You'll get the script and you'll get the workshop link sent straight away, and then show up. And we're going to have a hell of a lot of fun. I really love imparting my coaching and wisdom and method acting expertise onto you guys, because the transformation that you're going to see even in 2 short hours is going to be absolutely phenomenal. So definitely go and check that out and come and join. And as always, I really hope you've enjoyed this episode, and I hope it's given you a lot of food for thought, and it's opened up your eyes to what you can do, that there are solutions to the problems when we're struggling to connect to characters. See you in the next episode. I've absolutely loved hanging out with you, and I really hope you found this episode inspiring. If you have, please do rate the podcast and hit follow so you never miss an episode, and I can help more actors like you. And come and join one of the most supportive, uplifting acting communities on socials, the Unstoppable Actors Facebook group, where you'll get your weekly injection of inspiration, networking, and receive your free Method Actors handbook so you can become an unstoppable actor.